Greetings and welcome to the Mount Rushmore podcast. My name is Jeff, and I'm joined, as always, by the esteemed Richard Esquire Manfredi Esquire.
Hello.
And Sir Viscount Michaels of Winfield.
Howdy.
Those voices you may recognize as regular characters on the show, the Mount Rushmore podcast. But this time on the Mount Rushmore podcast, the show in which we debate and deliberate the most ubiquitous aspects of any given topic, this time around, we're not talking about regular characters. We're talking about guests, voices, and particularly on a show that's been running for 31 years, I think. 33 and counting. The Simpsons.
All the times to not have a guest on the show.
Yeah.
We haven't done a Simpsons episode in quite a long time.
We haven't talked about The
Been a long
Simpsons.
time.
So
Yeah, we had like a kind of a streak there for a while where like at least every third episode one of our picks was like a
yeah.
I don't know,
Simpsons
some
adjacent.
Simpsons something or other.
Is it because it's been around for 30 years that it's had a blanket of culture cloud that makes it worthy of chatting about, do you think? Or is it just something we love?
Well, I think I think The Simpsons built up so much goodwill in the first like decade of it being on air.
Yeah.
And they've just been, it feels like they've been coasting on it. I'm definitely one of those people that are like live and die by the first 8-9 seasons. And then, just kind of went to college.
Yeah.
Right.
And it was just like, oh, I guess I'm watching The Simpsons, and I'd watch episodes. So like, I think this is a very interesting or it's fun, or at least The Simpsons has been on so long that it is such a, not just like a cultural phenomenon, but like I'm not surprised by any guest star that has been on it at this point. I think it definitely, when it first started, and definitely one of my picks, kind of highlight, like, to be on The Simpsons, 30 years ago, that was like a big get. Like, if they could get somebody.
How'd they get Michael Jackson? How'd they get...
foreshadowing.
Yeah.
But like, exactly. But you did, well, yeah. But now it's like, if you tell me anybody has been on The Simpsons, I'll be like, okay, yeah, that's fine.
Lady
They
Gaga,
got
sure.
Stephen Hawking, for God's sake.
Yeah. Oh, did they? Oh, wow. Okay, well, let's jump right in. So, who chose it?
This was chosen by a friend of the show and former guest, Paul Lurie.
Oh, awesome.
Was it?
Yeah, this is a Plurry one.
Oh, okay.
I'm
That's
almost
pretty awesome.
positive it is. We might have to
Uh-oh.
double check, but I'm pretty sure it is.
Okay, Paul Lurie, the next letter in the
This
alphabet.
Bud's for you.
After this is Bud's for you, man.
This Duff's for you.
Did he move from Boston to somewhere else?
He's in Cleveland now.
He's in Cleveland. Wow.
Right? No.
Yes?
Yes. Maybe. Maybe I don't know anything anymore.
He's in one of the
possible.
second-tier sitcom locations. Yeah.
Simpsons guest stars, Paul Lurie.
There we go.
Okay. After between L and N-O-P is M.
That
So
could be either of
that's-
us.
so that's
Manfredi or Michael.
Let's go with Manfredi. Let's just get some Manfredi all over this topic.
All right. So my first source, and one thing I should point out, and Michael and I discussed this before the show.
Oh, what? Collusion?
Yes, there was collusionary tactics on our part. We're taking over. Sorry about that, Jeff.
Man, nuts.
No, we decided not to include kind of recurring characters.
Oh, okay.
So
Abe, or...
So yeah, well, more likely there'll be no Kelsey Grammer as Sideshow
Oh,
Bob,
okay.
no Phil Hartman roles.
We both kind of felt that they were just like a part of the show.
Yeah.
They were
Okay.
extended family rather than a special guest star.
Okay.
Despite what the billing and
Yeah.
their paychecks.
Okay.
So don't yell
Makes
at
sense.
us if we don't have them.
All right. Okay.
So my first choice is actually someone who has been on the show multiple times, but I still think falls into the more of the guest star category. Has guest 6 separate roles on The Simpsons, and that person is Albert Brooks.
I love it.
I also have Albert Brooks, but as a specific role.
Okay, it was yours, Hank Scorpio.
Hank Scorpio, of course.
Of course. All right. Let's give some love to him as Jacques, the bowling instructor.
Yeah.
From one of the classic first season, one of the first, I think, complete Simpsons episodes. It really feels like The Simpsons.
Yeah.
Also, Russ Cargill in the Simpsons movie. Cowboy Bob, the owner, very clearly makes he's a salesman, but not the owner of Bob's RV Roundup. Feel-good counselor Brad Goodman.
Yeah.
and Serenity Ranch Fat Camp counselor Tab Spangler. So he's done a variety of roles, but of course, what we know him most by is as Hank Scorpio, Homer Simpson's boss slash homicidal maniac slash best boss in the world. And it's just a tour de force of just playing this like super positive, great guy who just happens to be a lunatic who wants to take over the world.
Yeah.
A Bond bad guy, basically.
What a fun pick. Albert Brooks, for me, was always kind of even like the hipster Woody Allen. He was always a person who was a little bit kind of out of the mainstream,
But
yet
still did mainstream stuff.
yeah, still did mainstream stuff. I mean, it was on Carson, I think, dozens of times. But love that choice. And I think also when the producers are going for somebody who can play against type or has just a kind of a comedic, a nuanced comedic presence, Albert Brooks is a great person to go to. I think Phil Hartman does those great bombastic kind of. A lot of Phil Hartman's characters live in the world of television. They have a big persona, and Brooks has a wonderful kind of self-effacement to it. And where does a guy named James L. Brooks find Albert Brooks? That's what I want to know. Brooks.
If only I knew if there was a connection.
Yeah.
There.
Do you guys know what's his real name?
Albert Einstein.
Albert Einstein.
And his brother?
Super Dave Osborne.
Super Dave Osborne.
Yeah. Bob Einstein.
Yeah.
They have another brother who's like a heart surgeon, and they both say, yeah, he's the funniest guy in the family. And do you know he has a recording of his father dying?
No.
His father was a vaudeville comic who became a...
He doesn't just mean dying on stage.
Not literally dying.
Literally dying on stage at one of the Friars roasts. His father was a vaudeville character, I think Harry Einstein, and he was in played a unfortunate Native American stereotype, Harry Park Your Carcass or something. Maybe it wasn't Harry, but and his dad is on one of those Friars roasts and has a heart attack, and Albert says when he knows that's his dad's head hitting the table.
Wow.
Yeah, like what a thing to kind of shape your
Unbelievable.
your childhood. Wow, that's a fun one. Okay,
Michael, why did you choose Albert Brooks?
Oh, I think of all of his performances, I think this is his most fun. I do like his the one where he's trying to get Bart to the Be Like the Boy one.
Yeah, the Brad Goodman.
Brad Goodman. He has that raspy voice, but he's so just. I think like you said, bombastic and fun, and he does come across like he does play both aspects of the character so well. He does play like the super fun kind of boss that wants to be your friend, and but he's also kind of like a goofy guy, and he's wearing his jacket backwards. And you want a hammock? We'll get you a hammock. He's just trying to appease Homer.
You like these moccasins? I got you a pair. You don't like them? Throw them away.
Ever see the guy throw a shoe before? Once. And then he's also like, I'm Hank Scorpio, and you have 10 minutes to deliver the money. And so he switches back and forth between those roles so nicely, and he's just great. He's just great. It's just
I do suspect that he might be one of those go-tos when they didn't find a celeb to cast. Like as a kid, I always wondered why Buck Henry was on SNL so much as a guest host, and I didn't know till later that it was when the regular host fell out.
Right. They didn't have anyone better to plug in.
Yeah.
What did I see something on SNL like this week or last week? One of the Ed Sheeran got COVID, and he couldn't perform, and then they were scrambling. New York?
Really?
There's not any number of bands that can easily fill in that are in New York or could fly there pretty quickly from any part of the country.
Yeah.
Very strange that the idea of SNL having to scramble. It's
Did they get John Goodman to play harmonica and sing the Blues Brothers?
I love that. Did you send me the Twitter handle? It's just musicians introducing.
People introducing SNL music. Yeah,
it's great.
Musical acts or whatever it is.
It'll be like, oh my God.
It was great. It was
Charlene Tilton going, ladies and gentlemen, Squee or Todd Rundgren.
Yeah.
That's the one I remember.
What I like is that the person that started it initially, they went on this tear over the first couple of days. It's like, and then it blew up, and people are like, "Slow down!
Wow.
It's too many. You can't get them all out at the same time." Just
To be fair, there's something like, probably like 500 of them that you can go through.
yeah.
So,
All right. Well, what's your second choice, Michael?
My second choice is, you mentioned it earlier, is Michael Jackson.
Oh, fun.
Playing the character Michael Jackson. Actually, the character's name is Leon. I have it written down here. Da-da-doo, da-da-lee-da-lee.
Gene or there's some form
Leon Kampowski. So what's interesting,
Yeah.
well, one is that this is very early on in The Simpsons.
Oh, yeah.
It was like 1991, maybe
Yeah.
not the first season because it was so short, but maybe the second season that, The Simpsons had blown up as this pretty significant cultural phenomenon that, the president or the vice president was like shitting on it already.
Yeah.
Trying to tear it apart for, poor family values and all that nonsense. And then Michael Jackson, I don't know which way it goes, if he approached them or they approached him. Probably he approached them. My guess is, I don't know how often it happens with these special guest stars where they kind of go and say, "Oh, I'd like to be on The Simpsons," or The Simpsons is like, we're going to like to have you on as a guest, or, whatever the writers do.
Yeah.
But with him, he was probably the one that approached him, was like, "I'd like to be on your show." And then you have to figure out, how do you get Michael Jackson into the show? And then he drops the bomb on you that's like, "Oh, I don't want my name to be on the show." So they have to write this character who's a mental patient that Homer meets because Homer wears a pink shirt accidentally, and the boss thinks he's crazy because his shirt was dyed pink accidentally. And he meets someone in like the, kind of the, what's the word for it? Like the mental facility, the mental care facility that talks like Michael Jackson, but he's this gigantic bald white guy, which, you later find out, were you never quite sure at the time if it was actually Michael Jackson. But boy, it sounds awfully like him.
Yeah.
And then he sings a couple of songs, and I guess later on it was actually a different person that did the singing. Michael Jackson didn't want to sing for the part. He only wanted to act the role of the part of the person that thinks he's. It was very, very inside, very meta, very inside, whatever. But I think that was just one of the most iconic, just Simpsons guest stars roles. And if there was anyone that was bigger than Michael Jackson in 1991, he either just put out Bad or was about to put out Dangerous. He was right on the cusp of still being the biggest pop star in the world.
according to Wikipedia, Michael Jackson was a fan and actually reached out to Matt Groening.
Well, there you go.
To request, say, hey, I'd love to do a guest spot.
I remember hearing a producer on The Simpsons say that Michael Jackson also traveled with a white guy, who sounds exactly like Michael Jackson. And he asked that his microphone be put up behind a screen. And both of them were behind that screen. So he says there was times where you didn't know for sure that was Michael Jackson speaking those lines. And do you know also it's not on Disney Plus?
No. it's
Yeah,
not.
I read about that too.
Wow.
That because of
Michael
Jackson's allegations and all the stuff with child abuse and all that stuff, that they were like, nope, you can only kind of get it on Blu-ray or whatever.
And what's his? I thought at the time his credit in it was something like Jay Schmidt, or
Yeah, he's not credited as Michael Jackson.
yeah, as in
John J. Smith.
John J. Smith.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Okay.
And also, it's not his singing voice whenever he sings the Happy Birthday Lisa song.
Oh, okay.
He actually got a Michael Jackson impersonator.
That's
to
the
do
thing.
it
Yeah. Okay.
Because he thought it would be funny to play a prank on his brothers and get them to think that it was actually him singing when it was really an impersonator.
Riot.
Yeah. Michael Jackson, known for his sense of humor.
Well, okay. Yeah. Well, definitely that's got to be. I mean, that might be the biggest celebrity that we'll ever get outside of a president or something.
Or the Pope.
The Pope. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And I think as a Simpsons watcher at that time, at that point, you really felt like, oh, this has been knighted. This show has arrived. What's your second, Richard?
I will give you another big celebrity get from the second season. Dustin Hoffman.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Playing Lisa Simpson's substitute teacher, Mr. Bergstrom, otherwise known as Mr. Nerdstrom.
Mr.
Or
Mr. Boogerstrom.
Yep. In the episode Lisa Substitute, where he becomes a substitute teacher for Miss Hoover, and is just the best teacher you could possibly imagine. Just the platonic ideal of a teacher that Lisa would want. He's committed, he's funny, he's smart, he rewards her for being smart. Just everything you want to be. And of course, being a substitute teacher, when Miss Hoover is ready to come back, it's time for him to leave town. And Lisa runs out to the train station to meet him, and he hands her a note that says, "This will, anytime you feel down, look at this note to make you feel better." And the note says, "I am Lisa Simpson," which is incredible.
Yeah,
one of the most touching pieces of Simpsons writing that happened. Like Michael Jackson, Dustin Hoffman was credited not as him for contractual reasons, and also because he wasn't sure that he wanted to be attached to a television cartoon.
Oh, wow.
So he was kind of hedging his bets a little bit. Oh. So James L. Brooks actually came up with the idea to give him the stage name of Sam Eddick.
Yeah, funny.
Get it? Because he's Jewish.
Yeah.
Dustin Hoffman, comedy legend. So apparently the entire cast went out to New York to film this episode.
Oh.
I think back then they probably filmed in Los Angeles now, and I'm pretty sure they all just sort of recorded from their homes and sent in their stuff. And Yeardley Smith said that basically getting to record face-to-face with Dustin Hoffman made her such a better actress.
Oh,
wow.
You can imagine just getting a chance to act with somebody like that.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Would up your game quite a bit.
Yeah.
And it's just a great, warm performance. He's kind of the straight man. It's not like they're playing off of him being Dustin Hoffman there, except for this one graduate scene with Miss Krabappel. But it's not stunt casting. It feels more like this was an important role, and they wanted to get someone who could play it effectively.
Yeah.
And really give it the gravitas that it needed.
I would say if you are a composer and of a violin concerto, and you know that there is a
Tony violin,
Tony concerto.
Well, you know that there's, Milton Berle or Henny Youngman plays violin, but also Itzhak Perlman, and also Itzhak Perlman has a Stradivarius, so there you can only if they're this team of writers who've been noted for this wisecracking juvenile character, Bart Simpson, in the first season, and a dumb patriarch, Homer, and they think, guys, what if we did something great? What if we did something touching? Lisa's a very intelligent person who has all these emotions. What if we found a foil for her, or somebody who she could really open up to? It would be great, but if not if we have Pauly Shore as the teacher.
Right.
And that's what I think where the guest...
She opens the note up, says, "Be the wheeze."
Yeah, be the wheeze. Buddy, if you... another note, the second note. I can see that these guest stars fulfill this thing. Like, who would be great for this? If we're going out on a limb, who would be great for this? And damn it, if it wasn't Hoffman, wasn't great.
It does feel like it is a case of shooting your shot, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure, between Sam Simon and James L. Brooks, they have a ton of contacts in the film and television industry. So it's not like it would be you or I or Mike trying to call up and get, Dustin Hoffman on the podcast.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there has to be an element of like just throwing it out there and just praying that he's game to do it.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, we're at a halftime. We invite you to go back into the archives. It's a little bit dusty in there. It's sure roomy. I mean, it's like 5 years worth of stuff. Is that right?
Yeah,
6.
We're closing in at the end of the year. By the end of the year, we'll get to episode 299, which,
wow.
if you like look back, I was scrolling through the other day, just scrolling through like some of the old ones we've done just this year and last year. And I was like, man, we've covered a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Just like a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
We've talked a lot about things. Cats.
Cats.
Oreos.
Oreos.
Just looking around the room, just seeing what we see.
I'm
mostly cats
amazed
and Oreos.
at how dated some of the things. Like, remember we did that whole like 3-parter on fidget spinners? Remember that?
Yeah.
Weird. We were
Why
really
did we-
obsessed with there.
We really like went in hard on that.
Pogs, they're back. Ralph is back.
So looking for the fidget spinner
Where are we?
episode. You know what? Even just search, if you came here because you like The Simpsons, search Simpsons. You'll probably find a lot. And then,
couple at least.
yeah. And after you find them, share them. Don't keep them to yourself. This is the season of giving we're coming upon, and what better gift than, well, all gifts are better than the Mount Rushmore podcast.
Look, I've got thousands of T-shirts printed with cartoon Michael saying "I caramba."
Yeah.
If we could please start getting some,
We gotta
listeners
unload-
so we can sell that.
unload these
that would be
shirts.
Great.
We have one in Rasta
Yes,
flavor if you like. One with me.
Batman,
Yes,
Black
I-
Bart.
Yeah.
gangster rapper.
Me shoving some Scud missiles up Saddam Hussein's ass. You know, it's all, we got all of them. Everything from 1990 to 1992 in terms of a Simpsons reference.
He's looking at the gas price that says $1.50. Ay caramba. Oh, okay. So let's say that was our halftime, and let's say we're back, and let's say at this point, I think Michael would share his third. Is that right?
My third choice. Now,
Oh boy.
so I was thinking, since I've primarily have like my life of The Simpsons within the first like decade of it, probably up
Yeah.
until like whenever the movie came out. I remember seeing the movie and being like, "Is that all there is in a movie?" I didn't dislike it,
Yeah.
but I didn't love it. And I think I kind of fell off after then. So it's like, okay, let me look through who have been guest stars in the last, I don't know, 20 years. So I was specifically listening like season like 20 through 33, being like,
Oh.
or somewhere in there being like, okay, look, what's the weirdest one I could find? Because anybody can be on the show now. There's a weird like less specialness about being a guest star now, because literally everybody is like Daniel Radcliffe. Great. He's been on the show like a few times in different characters. Cool.
Yeah.
Like, it's Harry Potter. It doesn't matter anymore. These guest star appearances don't matter. So it's like, okay, what's the weirdest one? And I was like scrolling down. Then I saw Siguras.
Oh wow.
Who?
Yeah, the
Siguras?
the Icelandic band.
Oh,
So my choice was from a season 22 episode, season 24 episode, where Siguras was kind of the guest star. And this is where like I might lose points, and I understand. But they did like a reimagining of the opening music. They appeared in the episode as themselves kind of standing in like a group shot. They did music throughout. So they were there. They
sounds
just
like a
weren't
guest
as
star.
guest star. But the point is,
did they do any voices?
well, the singing.
Well, yes, but acting voices.
No, but the point is, and I understand if I don't get points for it. I don't care. At this point, what am I going to do?
Yeah,
Who is the Mount Rushmore? Or Jeff is the Mount Rushmore police. I forgot.
You're doubling down on musicians.
Yeah.
Maybe you tripled down. I don't know.
So the point is that very strange to see this band that one isn't like a huge, particularly huge band. They're very specific. They're very niche.
Yeah.
And to see them as like the guest star on The Simpsons is very strange.
Yeah.
And then I thought, well, how did they get on there? So the episode is about Carl,
Carl Carlson.
Carl Carlson, the kind of the black friend of Lenny and Homer's friend and Moe's friend. And the episode is about how he steals a bunch of money, goes back to Iceland because he's actually he's adopted Icelandic and his last name Carlson, and then an adventure in Iceland. And I thought, well, how did they get here? Did they say, we want to bring Siguras, we want to do something with Siguras, so let's figure out how to do something Icelandic. Or we want to do something with Carl and Carlson. Someone was like, well, Carlson could be an Icelandic, and that's how they got to Iceland.
Yeah.
And when you think of Iceland, you think of
Bjork.
and you think of Siguras. So it's like the idea of how these things come together, it could have started any number of ways. Maybe someone just went to Iceland and was like, I just want to get all this imagery in there.
This feels like a Matt Groening thing. Where
Maybe.
he's a real music nerd. So this feels like he was like a Sigur Rós fan and decided to just get them involved somehow.
Could be, but
I would think if you were thinking Icelandic, celebrities, Bjork would be your first choice.
She makes a little appearance there. They're like visiting a museum, and you just see like a Bjork statue standing in the background wearing like the swan dress.
Yeah.
And then she blinks once. I like the idea that she's just standing around.
It's not a statue. It's
But yeah, just very strange. And then I'm like, oh yeah, so anybody can be a guest star on The Simpsons.
Yeah.
This band that doesn't even have to say anything. They did some music and they did some wonderful imagery in there, but like I thought,
Yeah.
how odd.
That's really cool that they're using their status to not just bring a celebrity in who'll give them gravitas, but maybe give a little bit of spotlight to a band that is indie and known. But yeah, I remember Dana Gould. I was a fan of Dana Gould as a stand-up comic, and he was the only comic I ever knew who talked. I mean, he had a bit about Elvis Costello, and this was when Elvis Costello was still kind of unknown, not huge now like he is. And I remember thinking, oh, cool, this is my kind of comic, because he's talking about this
Kind of
alternative guy. So yeah, that's fun that they're doing that. All right, two musicians from Michael Jackson. Although, yeah, for Michael Winfield, Michael Jackson did actually have lines.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he had lines. Yeah.
He just didn't sing. That's the irony of it, I guess.
Okay, Manfredi, what's your third?
All right, my third one is from the episode Homer's Phobia, and it is John Waters.
Oh, fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good episode.
Yeah, great episode. Bring us the gay dancing steel mill.
Yeah.
One of my favorite little bits in Simpsons history. And I think this is great because it's a rare example of The Simpsons having to play down the persona of a guest star. Because usually a lot of times if it's a guest star playing themselves or playing someone who's similar to themselves, they wind up taking, okay, what does the public know about this person? And then how can we like play on that to either magnify it,
Yeah.
or make it like, oh, everything you know about this person is wrong. You think they're X, but they're actually Y. And in this case, he's playing a character named John, who is the owner of a collectible/curio shop in Springfield. And he's basically playing John Waters, but like a 75% version of John Waters.
Yeah.
Like, this is not Pink Flamingo's John Waters. This is beloved cultural icon, late period John Waters. And it's just it's a really great episode. It's one of the few times where The Simpsons has tried, I think, to take on something cultural and sort of like sociological or whatever you want to call it, and made it work.
Yeah.
A lot of times whenever they go for the hot button kind of issue or topic kind of episodes, it kind of falls flat. That's not what they do well. But in this one, the episode is basically the Simpsons family winds up befriending John, and Homer loves him until Marge kind of points out, oh, yeah, he's gay, which flips Homer out. Homer gets worried that Bart is going to become gay because he's hanging out with John, and only to eventually have his life saved by John from a rampaging pack of reindeer. And so he learns a valuable lesson, but it's subtle. It's not, doesn't beat anyone over the head with it. And John Waters basically said he did the
First time John Waters in the sentence
subtle
and
has ever come up, which is kind of my point. Apparently he said that he agreed to be on the show because if it was good enough for Elizabeth Taylor to be on, it was good enough for him, which I think is a great explanation for why you would be on the show.
Yeah. Also, maybe a juicy opportunity for the writers to take on that voice. Some guest stars, like Albert Brooks as Hank Scorpio, aren't necessarily playing their character; they're playing a character,
right?
And Ultra Suede's a miracle. That was just good timing. That's a line that John Waters says in that. Like that's a campy kind of fun John Waters thing to say. So. Yeah, some writers get this opportunity with this guest to kind of to speak in their milieu a little bit.
Can we talk about that Elizabeth Taylor cameo?
Yeah, we can.
Like, she said...
Just Maggie's voice.
Yeah, she said, like, Dada.
Yeah.
That's it? What a letdown. That's all.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I guess what was she going to be? What do you think? If she was like the seductress next door neighbor, or the Maggie the cat kind of Tennessee Williams kind
literally
of.
could have done any number of things.
Anything other than a baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's clearly just hype. That's the press
Yeah.
press hype. Okay, Michael.
Okay, well, Jeff mentioned doubling down, so here comes the triple down.
Uh-oh.
Music.
Another music one.
Sting.
No.
Barry White.
Barry White.
That would have been a great one. I mean, another.
It was on my short list.
There's so many good ones, but again, I was trying to expand my horizons because I felt like I was too constrained.
Okay.
Benedict Cumberbatch
Oh, okay.
from season 32. It's
One of the
last
few
year.
episodes that I've actually
Yeah.
watched.
Playing the fictional version of Morrissey, Quillaby, where he is just great in this episode, which is kind of has like these two tracks. One, it's Homer kind of dealing with some issues of like manliness,
Okay.
where he has like low testosterone, so he buys a truck. Very Homer sort of thing to do.
Was it a Canyon Arrow?
No, it was, I don't know, but basically, the same sort of deal.
Right.
And then with the truck, he gets a Spotify subscription, but it's not Spotify, it's called Slapify, which is one of the things that rankles me the most about The Simpsons in the last 20 years, is that they've decided to really like ease up on how they go after some of like the brands. Like they used to like name drop Apple and Coke and whatever, all these different things.
Sure.
It was no big deal, but then they kind of started like,
Yeah.
oh, we've got to be a bit more sensitive to like these things. So like, I don't know, the phone she uses is like a Maple phone.
Yeah.
It's just like, what? That's so weak. So Slapify. So Lisa starts listening to music
Yeah.
and like all their suggestions, and she doesn't like any of it. And then it was like, well, if you don't like any music at all, you might like Quillaby and the Snuffs. So she discovers, Morrissey type music, and she just falls for it because it's so dour and so Smiths-esque.
Yeah. Oh, I gotta
And then
listen
she
to
gets to a point where she like creates him as an imaginary friend that's kind of walking along with her. And like the animation for it is wonderful because he's just like flopping all over the place. His posture's all like, just kind of shoulders rolled, and he's like, fainting and everything. But Benedict Cumberbatch plays the role, and he's so good. He's so good at doing this impersonation that isn't quite an impersonation. Like it's there, but it's not, exactly. And he kind of follows her through the town, and she changes her style, and she's trying to, revolutionize. She's very Lisa Simpson. She falls for something and tries to make everybody else see the goodness in it.
Yeah.
But then she discovers that Quillaby and the Snuffs are playing at like a Bumbershoot whatever it's called, some other bullshit name.
Coachella thing.
It's a Coachella, sort of thing. And he's like fat and old and like is eating meat and racist. And I thought, God, I mean, it's such a good episode about my own personal feelings about this guy.
Yeah.
Who I still can't get enough of his older music.
Yeah.
And
But he betrayed his
and
ideals.
and then you're like, oh, that's right, he's an asshole, and he's kind of racist.
Yeah.
And maybe he always was, but you just didn't know. And like she just gets heartbroken. It's a really good episode.
That's great.
Yeah. One other fun thing about it, though. Sorry, do you want to say something?
I was going to say, I think I'm not disagreeing with Benedict Cumberbatch. He was great on the episode. I think the secret MVP of the episode, and maybe this is what you were going to say, was Brett McKenzie.
Yes. From Flight of the Conchords, who wrote the music, and he probably performed as Quillaby. Yeah, and it's great. He's just so good at mimicking
A style.
and just gets it just perfectly.
Oh, that's
Sings
great.
a song called like Everybody's Perfectly Awful.
Everybody's horrid except for me.
And possibly you, yeah. But so
Oh, fun one.
good, yeah.
All right, wrap it up, Rippity Richard.
All right, so we've been talking this whole time about... Oh, by the way, I'm not including anyone from outside of the first 10 seasons because
Yeah, I get
they
it.
don't exist. We've been talking about all these great Simpsons cameos where the people loved being on, and they got a great performance out of them, and it's something that's very memorable that people, look back on and go, wow, Michael Jackson, Dustin Hoffman, whoever it is.
Okay.
I would like to talk about, because not all celebrity appearances go smoothly. I know in a previous episode we had talked about Jose Canseco forcing them to rewrite his plot line in the softball episode
Sure, yeah.
to make him into a hero. So I would like to talk about Lawrence Tierney for a minute. You might know Lawrence Tierney as he was a tough guy, kind of film noir and Western actor for years. Probably best known, though, for playing Joe Cabot in Reservoir Dogs.
Okay.
He's the guy who hires all the different colors to do the bank heist. And so they loved him from this role, and they wanted, and this is a second season episode again, I think. This is the episode Marge Be Not Proud, where Bart gets caught shoplifting the Bone Storm video game because Marge wouldn't buy it for him because it was too violent.
Yeah.
And he plays Dan Brodka, who was the security guard who catches
Oh,
him.
yeah, okay.
Right. Whoops. Hold on. Edit this part out real quick, Jeff. Okay. And apparently, Lawrence Tierney was a complete pain in the ass the entire time of recording. He showed up, got dropped off at the Fox lot. The driver says he refuses to take him back and speeds off. I'm reading from Josh Weinstein, who was a writer on the episode. He posted a Twitter thread about this. And just all of the wacky things that happened. Apparently, Lawrence Tierney, who was known as this this real brusque, there's two ways to do things, my way or the highway, one of those sort of voices. Well, he got on set and decided that he was going to do everything in a Southern accent. A very bad, weird Southern accent, apparently. And the writers had to talk him out of that. They had to explain all of the jokes to him, and any joke that he thought wasn't funny, he would refuse to do it. And they had to talk him into doing it. And he just was a complete pain in the ass, which jibes with my experience with Lawrence Tierney.
Oh,
There we go.
Which is not direct, but it was through second parties. While I was at USC, the drama department did a play version of Reservoir Dogs. And for the opening night, they got Lawrence Tierney to show up as kind of the honored guest. And apparently he showed up and he was very drunk, super handsy with all the women, and just belligerent. He did have one guest starring role as Elaine's dad on Seinfeld. And apparently he was also completely drunk and insane on the set. Stole a knife from the set at one point. And so I just love this idea that, and it's not like he was, look, if Brad Pitt shows up and is a diva, you deal with it.
Yeah.
Because it's Brad Pitt. This is, B movie star Lawrence Tierney coming in to do a guest spot. And he's just completely all over the place.
Yeah.
But here's the thing that I love about it, is they got a great performance from him. Even with all of his eccentricities and nutjobness, the writers are like, we got a great performance out of him. Everything he did wound up being great, and it's a great one of our favorite little guest roles. It's just that he was a nightmare to work with.
Wow. Do you think, I wonder if it's easier to do that with audio recordings where you could
sure.
just, yeah.
Sure, you could get enough takes, and eventually one of them is going to be decent.
I wonder if it was Lawrence Tierney. What I think is kind of interesting thing is there was a, do you remember the Tube Bar, or it was a recordings of prank calls?
Red?
Was it Red?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what it's called.
I think
that's one you're thinking of.
Yeah.
And
Well,
they did a movie of it. Right?
Yeah, I thought the movie was called the Tube Bar because it was next to. Anyway, I can't find that on IMDb, but I thought Lawrence Tierney plays the guy in the movie.
I believe he does.
Which is an interesting kind of Simpsons loop around because supposedly the Mo Sislak prank phone calls were inspired by those recordings.
Yes.
Which is a kind of a strange convergence. Okay, this is going to be easy. This is going to be easy. We're going Albert Brooks. We're going to go Benedict Cumberbatch. We're going to go John Waters. And we're going to go Michael Jackson because. Okay.
All right.
So this has been the Mount Rushmore of Simpsons guest stars, I, tonight only, am Jeff.
And I was played by Richard.
I'm Michael.
He doesn't bite.
Never. You guys. Pay me.